So, my name is Samantha Gallbeck, and throughout this course, I've learned many important ideas, and to start, I will talk about how feminism has evolved throughout the years, and then I will talk about my own personal definition of feminism. I will have my own feminist critique, and then I will conclude with a reflection of the class. So feminism has changed over the time periods, and I'm going to talk about how they changed through three different waves, the first, second, and third wave of feminism. And in the first wave of feminism, it was approximately the 1848 to the 1960s, and women were very dependent on men at this time. Men were thought of to be almost the owners of the women, and women weren't allowed to have property. Many divorce and custody hearings favored men, and the jobs that they were able to have they weren't able to have mainly male jobs like being a lawyer or a doctor. And some successes that they had were the right to vote in 1920. They were able to get birth control in, I'm pretty sure it was 1965. They were able to get higher education, work in male professions, and own property. The second wave was the 1960s to the 1990s, and women were thought of before to be stay-at-home. They had to watch their children, raise them, educate them, clean the house, cook for the male and the rest of the family. And then it started to change with this wave, so they didn't have to do that anymore, and they were able to have both the children and the career that they wanted, or they could choose to have no children at all, which was different for females. And then also domestic violence and sexual assault started to be recognized at this time. So, and then the third wave is the 1990s to the present. And this is where they're trying to eliminate sexism for all women, not just white women, so different races and religions. And the glass ceiling effect was something that was before, women trying to raise up on the corporate ladder. It's still here today, but they're trying to work on it. They feel that they can't go higher up in their jobs, and they feel like they're stuck at this one level. So some similarities and differences between the three different waves. The similarities were women at all these different times fought for what they believed in. They wanted equal rights. They tried getting them. They got them for the most part. Some of the differences were that they just fought for different things at different times. And like the first and second waves were more specific, like the right to vote or the right to have a job or not raise children if they didn't want to. And then the third is not as specific. It's more just the general overview of trying to move for more equality. My personal definition of feminism is when a woman tries to get these equal rights like men, and they can be socially, economically, or politically. And I believe that I'm a pro-feminist, but not a feminist like myself, like Kay-Ann said, because I believe it's more of the act towards it. I like to be treated as an equal, and I support everybody that goes out and does it themselves, but I don't think that I personally go forward and do it myself. It might have been a little different if I was alive in the first and second waves when I didn't have the right to vote or something like that, because then I think I might have been more forward about it, but now that women have these rights, it's not as a problem for me. So my feminist critique, to begin with, I'd like you to think of a hero, a superhero, and what would you think of? You would probably think of Batman or Superman or even Spider-Man, but you probably wouldn't think of Wonder Woman or Catwoman or any other women superheroes. These superheroes are most of the time portrayed as men. And when you do see a female superhero, they're often weaker or dressed in sexier outfits. So the first component of the feminist critique that I found with the superheroes was the difference factor, and that's the belief that men and women have these biological differences. So the women, they're in a sexy outfit, they have the body to show off. It's what men want to see, and these creators of the superheroes have women in sexy outfits because that's what creates a profit, since the males are the usual buyer. Men wouldn't want to see a male half-dressed on the front of a cover because that's not what they would want to see. They want to see a woman more. And so in this way, women are treated as sex objects. And then the other thing that I thought went with the difference factor was that women are biologically weaker than men, and they're not believed to be able to do the same thing. So I took that and related it to real life with like a firefighter. They believe that women are not strong enough to be able to pull out someone from a burning building or carry all the equipment. But this is not true because the women find a different way to be successful. They might not do it the same way as a man, but they can still get it done. And then relating it back to the superheroes might have a different power if they're a female, or they might be able to think cleverly to get defeating the evil villain done. And so then everybody needs to start realizing that women can be as successful as males in real life and in the fictional superheroes. So for my course reflection, I think that my public speaking has improved. It's not the best yet, but it's getting better. Before, I would make myself extremely sick. I would start crying before presentations. I think it's improved greatly. The Historic Women presentation was probably the longest presentation I've ever had to give before, so that was a little bit of a shock, but I pulled through it. And so, I went backwards. I don't know how to.
The other side of that guy.
The arrow?
No, on the actual keyboard. Computer.
Well, on the handheld thing, there's one's left of the floor, one's right in this guy.
But it's not working today.
Oh, is it?
No. It's sick.
So I think that really improved. My writing skills also improved because with the annotated bibliographies and everything, I've had to learn how to write a different way. Even with the research paper, it wasn't just research. I had to incorporate my own thoughts, and that was something different that I usually haven't done before. I've learned about how to make my grammar better and content better. And I've also learned that we have to proofread papers more than once, because then you'll get most of the errors taken care of. Then the third one I thought was important was the volunteer service. And I thought that it was really important how we directed the volunteer service towards women, because they are less, most of the time, less confident in their skills. So I thought it was really important that we taught them that, yeah, you can do it. We just raised their confidence levels. The fourth thing I thought was important was the implicit bias. And I didn't realize that we had these biases that we didn't know about to begin with. And the tests were really interesting. And then I was surprised that there were so many different ones. There wasn't just like one or two, there was, I don't know, probably like 10 at least. But I was also kind of disappointed with that because for me it said I had no bias, and I know that's not true because I have to have a bias somewhere. Everybody has to have a bias somewhere. So I really would have liked to learn what my bias is so I could improve and get better. And then the last thing that I thought was important was the guest speakers. And because I thought it was so interesting to hear from someone in person, not just a book or an article, about what they had to go through and what they observed. And then I also thought that it was really interesting that everybody that came was really diverse. We had teachers, we had someone that was in the workforce, we had males, females. It was just really an eye-opening experience. And so overall, the speakers and what I've learned in this class are inspiring me to keep on learning about these kind of topics, and I'm excited to see where my education about these topics leads me in life. So thank you.
So you really get that nervous before presentation?
Yeah.
Look how